didn't want that to happen. She was afraid of the embarrassment. So we were talking about the cucumber tree that she planted when he left the house for the American dream, because he was stuck on heroin and he had to get clean. So he smoked his cigarettes all throughout his life. But then it came down to the strife and the mistake that she knew she made, and she was reckoning herself as she reconciled herself with the mistake she made as a parent. She realized it now, and it's all about going hard and letting go. And then I told her, she was like, see, I let go. And I was like, yeah, but for a long time you were holding on, like you were letting go, but then also you tyrannically came forward and grabbed control. And that's when she said, it's because I needed to wait. I wanted to be able to show you how to do things the proper way. So she taught me in the garden. And just like I told her, I would have been devastated if she died before I made it here to arrive at eternity and become the son of man, the man of mankind's pursuit, for man's kind heart, and the pleasure of leisure. Scholarship is the way to go. This penmanship will write the way to know. It's foot strong, it's steady in the spine, it's mowing the lawn just in time to get the grass aligned. So we got back to the conversation about how to shape the trees. You don't cut it off, you cut it to prune it. You don't control it, you just guide it and let the branches grow the way it's supposed to grow. And sometimes you might have to curb it just in time. Just like my stepmother, the one not real stepmother, but I'm using the metaphor of Kusumamma Kisa Gautami. She's the Kale lady who sells me the cigarettes, and she was discussing with me one day when I was storming in my mania, the manic episode. I walked out of the door, and every time there was the stink of a beast to know coming into the glow. So we talked about how to cut off this tree. It's grown a bit too tall and it could fall down. That's the problem. If it grows too tall, that's the way. So you gotta cut off the place. And I told her right then and there, it's not about getting someone else to cut it. It's the hardest thing to learn, is to climb up the tree and learning to climb back down. She got it, and she looked at me with a bit of more respect, a bit more realization that this guy is serious. He's not just doing a joke, he's not just playing a fool, wearing a sarong over his neck and then falling down just to play the act of the part of the making. The mischief-making mystic, the mythic misfit. That's the way it goes, that's the way it goes, cause that's the way a sage becomes the prince king of himself. And he arrives, it's the foot of how you tell a king, the footprint you leave sees. It's like the palm readers used to look at my palms and then they were like, shocked, what the fuck is going on with this dude? He comes from money, but his palms have a workman's hands. And then we get back to grandma and her lessons. The tyrannical guard who controls the cook culinary wizard is the way she cares for her family. But she was also the seamstress, making Roman lines. And this is how I learned how to look past your time. The metaphors of my life is an odd poetry. It's an odd coincidence, a randomness, a lining for the karmic coincidence of intentions intersecting as it drives in history. The momentum of history, waves of probabilities collapse and they come back to me. Aligned in my spine, I got two shoulder blades. The scapula tilt is all it needs to take the wings that do not fly. Because flying with wings is the way to go. Not like Superman. Fuck Superman. He can't fly for shit. He's just going there, propelled by some unseen force. But a bird, an eagle, a raptor flies itself as it glides through the wind. So back to grandma and the garden. Back to grandma and the garden. I hope all of this can be heard in this message. Maybe it's a bit too loud, but too bad. Too bad. I'm not going to recorrect it because here I am in the practice of classical manners. So back to grandma and the garden. As I was mowing the lawn, she was telling me the techniques. So just don't really push it too strong. Just guide the mower along. It's not an electric mower, it's a manual mower. So do the analog work. And that's the way. She asked me, do I like a rake? And I was like, nah. This time I didn't go to explain the fact that the fault of the rake is just a one-sided thing. It's plastic and it's, you don't have the manipulative ability that you have with an equal broom. You go everywhere, you can use both sides, you can use it on the side, you can do the manipulative things of a simple tool that has multiple purposes. When you're skilled enough to use it the way it's supposed to be, it's the rhythm of the stroke. Get it right and regret. grass would just float. So back to a tree, we had a small wilting tree, and she was like, maybe just cut it off. And I was like, no, I'd like to bring it back to life. And then she got onto that board, and she was like, yeah, you can bring it back to life. Maybe you can bring it back to life right there. You don't have to replant it somewhere else. And I was like, yeah, watch me bring it back to life. I'll get it right there. And we were talking about another branch of a tree she planted for my mom. It was my mom's favorite tree, but then at one point I remember grandma went on a tantrum streak because mom is too controlling as well. Mom is the one who drove her crazy all the way trying to stop her from getting to work. So what did she do? She went on a rampage and she just wanted to climb that tree. She wanted to not climb that tree, to chop that tree down, get rid of it, get rid of that fucking tree in her anger. What you're doing to the children, what you're doing to the children, what you're doing to the children. Can't you see your manic energy sharpening is creating all of these problems and anxiety that they take on the load? So here we are back to the pro, and my mom had to beg her, cry and said, don't cut the tree. And yes, she didn't cut the tree, and I told my mom, let me stop my grandma. I told my grandma, no, we cannot cut the tree, we're not going to cut the tree. She cooled down, because at the end, I'm the only one who could handle the grandma. Not the tyrannical mind. She's tripping child, and no one could go on a trip. They don't have the security ability, the lack of fear to go deep into the trip to grandma right there and come out unbruised, unscathed. Just battered and bruised. I could take the battering, I could take the bruising. I get unscathed every time, but always puzzled about what I could do with my rhyme, my mind, my time to allow a calmer environment for everybody at home. So right there, and then and there, it's back to the garden. So we decided to shave a bit off that tree, chop it off, and it's gonna be wonky at the top. It has a nice low shape at the bottom, like wonky at the top. So it's like just chop off the branches at the top, and let's just plant it here near the wall that's bare right now. We've got one ivy growing along the other wall, and now we've got to plant a few seeds, not seeds, we plant a few saplings in the ground and just let it grow. But wait for the rain, she said. It's trial and error. This is what she wants me to do with the garden, because she said this garden is for me. This garden is what is mine now. At least in this house, with the rest of my parents' house, this was her home, grandma's home. The garden is my domain. And I shall do it as we see fit, because I learned from the farm. I learned from the madman Ranjan. Ranjan Abe Vikrama and Madhukar taught me the ways of the organic farming trees, the way to shape the trees, and it's about watching a practitioner practice, and then you learn the ways. If you have a certain keen eye of observation, that's all you need to do to learn. Watch the improvisation. So today's garden story is out. Oh yes, mom came for a bit there, and they were both talking about waiting the sun. Like the heat stroke and all of this nonsense. I was without a t-shirt, so I said, it's like, oh, it's not the heat, it's like the sun on the head. I was like, that's why I have long hair. You know, it protects my head, it protects my hair, it keeps my head cool. When you have long hair, the sweat drenches it, and your head is cool. Then the other thing is allowing for a good regulation of the body. You can handle the heat. The heat is no problem. As you don't get heat stroke, fuck heat stroke, not gonna happen, bruh. Now when you know how to regulate the body in the system, that's why it begins with the physical. It's all about stance, you take in the chance, it's vipassana. The vision inside of the stance, the vision inside of the footing stance, father, padre, all come back to the foot. Pathos, panatipata. It's not don't kill, it's don't kill with pathos. That's the extension of it. The 5 precepts aren't ethical prescription. They're just a big suggestions that like you won't be able to do it if you do these things, because you will feel relief, you will feel the actualization of an ego by acting on these precepts. But they are short-lived, because they don't last after the project is complete. Satisfaction of an ego. Yeah. So to kill with pathos. Now, murderers, after murder is done, all these psychopaths are just like, oh fuck, I'm hungry again. It's like eating, that's why they do. It's their way of coping with humanity for not being understood. Then what about karma? Kame, Smityachar, Kame, Vityachar, fuck. Sikkhapadan samadhiyami. Ahinna dana veramani sikkhapadan samadhiyami. Kamesu middhachara veramani sikkhapadan samadhiyami. Sex, kama, raga, love, passions. Again, it's not the way because it's short-lived, and that is the problem. It's not that it's wrong, it's not that it's bad, it's that if you want to attain a sustainable nirvana, a nivima, a cooling down, a ceasing, a calm, steady state of being and becoming, then these aren't the ways to go because they're chaotic, they're climatic, they have peaks and valleys, and you've got to be able to ride the wave, surf the wave, because if you just ride the wave, you're going to crash into the beach, so you've got to surf it. But you also got to realize that these projects are short-lived. The dopamine kick is only the extension of the project. It's not the achievement, it's the pursuit that gives you the pleasure. Achievement is hollow. Accomplishment, like the underground man said. So now we're not practicing the rhythm section. Here we're just going off in this linguistic extension, the verbalizations, passing the time in between, past occupation. Because you would never get to start this. Right now it's just an extended the race of the marathon. So get back to the beat. Is there a way to keep this beat? Is there a way to keep this street? Somehow you're in the rhythm section even when you're talking just above your feet. But now you're contemplating and considering the rhyme, the flow, the time, the meter, the metric, the story that unfolds as you make this glory glorious. You don't have the rhymes in your rhyme book, it's not reflexive yet until you have the story just to move with time. Then you get back to the rhyming rhyme the rhyme of time, the mind, the practice, the classical madness, the tactics of sadness. Khane gatu. Khana gatu. Gatalu. Gataluak. Gatimak. A bundle of knots is what you call a puzzle, a problem in Sinhalese is a bundle of knots. And sadness in Sinhalese is a knot in the ear. Khane Gatalu. Khane Gatu.